my glory. Here we go. The panel. I know, it's going to be fun this week. My panel. First of all, he's the president of the Alaska AFL-CIO and a Denali Commissioner. Please welcome Vince Beltrami. Our next guest, I do not share this distinction with her, but she was once Alaska's Republican Woman of the Year. And she has more than 35 years of experience in government relations and project management. She has worked on numerous political campaigns, including the write-in effort for Lisa Murkowski, M-E-R-C-O-W-S-K-Y.
And we'll count it.
Please welcome Bonnie Jack. And last but not least, he's been on the Alaskan Airways for 26 years. Currently, he's the senior reporter. Ooh. And producer for Alaska Public Radio Network. On Sundays, as host of the Truckstop on KNBA, his alter ego, the Old Bullrider, which I love. Please welcome legendary broadcaster Steve Heimel. Oh my gosh. So, anybody having that feeling of, I guess this isn't going to be a boring election season? I would love this to be boring. It's not.
If it were boring, you wouldn't have a job.
Well, I would. I'd just be painting houses like I enjoy. But we just had Ethan Berkowitz on. And I feel kind of bad because nobody's paying attention to the governor's race. And Sean Parnell can be just do whatever he wants to do. He could eat a baby heart on TV and nobody would notice. You know, they just wouldn't. And Ethan's out there and he's got everything going on and he's doing this project and that project and here's this plan and people are like, oh, that's great. Okay, what do you think about Scott McAdams? What do you think about Lisa writing in? What do you think about how crazy is Joe Miller? And are they going to have him in a kennel by the end of this month? I mean, that's what's going on. Steve, what's your take on the down ballot races of just kind of, oh yeah, I didn't mention Don and Harry.
Well, I think they kind of have. You put it well, I think, during your interview. You said that the kind of all the oxygen was sucked out. It's just that it's such an extraordinary drama that it has many Alaskans swept up in it. They're just very interested in it. I think there's a whole lot of undecideds, and people are just hypnotized by it. I look at the history, you know. My whole deal is how much of this has happened before, and we actually have a history. We've had a sort of calm 10, 12 years or so, but you go back a ways and you run into something like, you know, John Lindauer, the Wally Hickel thing, you know, which there's eerie parallels, let me put it that way.
Right, with Robin Taylor's write-in, with Wally Hickel's write-in. Ernest Greening even had a write-in.
And the repeating of the can't win mantra. You know, it's so odd that Wally Hickel was convinced he could win. He was spending all this money. And
his own personal money.
He was way behind, and here's Tony Knowles and Arla Sturgeluski, and their campaigns just couldn't do anything. They never attacked Wally Hickel. They attacked one another. Said, "Oh, this can't possibly win." Tony Knowles can't possibly win, and it was can't win, can't win, can't win. Does that remind you of anything? Yeah.
Yeah. What's your take?
And I was going to say, actually, I mean, Steve mentioned Lindauer, and I've started hearing this term the last couple of days. Oh, Miller's Lindauering, and that's what seems to be happening. And unfortunately, and this is for, it's become a complete show. Dave really likes his beat button. Yeah. You know, at the top in this Senate race, and you know, Ethan is talking about a lot of important ideas and issues, and he's got some great ideas, and they're not getting the play they ordinarily would and should because of all the stuff that's going on in the U.S. Senate race.
Right.
And at the same time, the best candidate in the U.S. Senate race, Scott McAdams, is. He's talking about the issues.
You're trying to be pushy.
Yeah.
It doesn't push, because if I were to push back, you would lose.
Oh, yeah.
The audience would be with me.
But Scott is talking about the issues. I mean, and Lisa's having to
talk about the issues.
Well,
Lisa's
she's talking a little bit about the issues.
how to spell her name.
But there's really
that's what she's having to do, and that's the point, is that Joe Miller is being attacked by the lamestream media.
I'd say Joe
God, I've
Miller
heard that
isn't
before.
being attacked.
Joe
Miller's having the spotlight shown on him for a while, for a time, because it wasn't done in the primary. And the brighter it gets, the worse it gets.
Who should have done that in the primary?
I would say the media, as well as his opposing candidates.
Right.
Yes, Lisa Murkowski's campaign should have done it, but so should the media. And in reality, nobody thought anything about him.
Right.
Well, I
So
always
nobody
felt
did
really bad.
anything.
I felt really bad about the way that we dealt with John Lindauer during that time, because a number of us personally were kind of acquainted with him and his reputation. I personally, the first job I had in Alaska was working for a radio station that he had to give up.
He didn't give it up, remember. His wife owned that radio station. She passed away. He inherited it.
Well,
and now
yeah,
the
but
story.
this is before Jackie died. And he had to give the license of that radio station up because they had a contest in which a relative of an employee won the contest. And it's a gaming violation.
Right.
And so these people from Oregon got this radio station. That's where I started in Alaska. And we knew his reputation. When the transmitter failed, I will never forget this. I've never told this story. When the transmitter failed, the station went off the air, and the engineer says, "No problem, we'll go out to the backup transmitter." He went out to the transmitter shack, and he opened the cabinet, and there was nothing inside. The backup transmitter had been sold.
For cash. They needed the cash.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. It wasn't. I mean, I wasn't surprised because I was surprised that he had won the primary. But I was like, did they not know he was a total d-bag?
Well, the thing
it
is,
was
like, when he was running,
d-baggers, not teabaggers,
D-bag, T-bag, right.
which are basically the
So
same.
pretty
thing.
much the same thing, yeah.
But also the difference too, when John Lindauer, I worked for the legislature when John Lindauer was in the legislature, and I think his record probably still holds. He introduced more bills by himself, no co-sponsors, than anybody ever could imagine. And that was back in the days where every bill had to be printed. Bills were sent in boxes to the local legislative information offices. It cost a fortune just to print his bills. They never received any action. They never received any co-sponsoring. But I think we should talk about the election of today, not the election.
Well, I want to bring this up because I started it by saying that I felt a little guilty as a member of the news media during because of what Bonnie said. During the campaign, we couldn't pin him down on his source of funding. I mean, he just plain wouldn't tell us. I remember Tim Woolston and I, he came on our show, Talk of Alaska, and Tim Woolston came over. He was working for Channel 2 at the time, and they brought a crew because they couldn't get hold of him, and they wanted to do a story about this. And after they'd done with their shooting, he did a one-on-one